to go to the bank tomorrow and try to like consolidate some debt
Oh shit.
because it's just I've blown through my savings like it's not even like
Yeah.
nothing. This is really bright. Let me turn that down just a little. There we go. Now I'm looking a little more
Yeah,
orange.
that's better.
All right, I got all my tabs up, or most of them at least.
Yep, I'm all set whenever you're ready.
All right, a little sip of Sprite Zero.
I had one of those for lunch today.
Sprite Zeros are good.
Mm-hmm.
And Sprite Zero and Dr. Pepper Cherry Zero are my favorite. Have you had the Cherry Zero yet?
I haven't had the cherry. I've had the cream soda,
It's
and it's
so
pretty
good.
good.
Yeah, I had the cherry. Was it cherry cream soda or was it just regular? I know I had regular cherry Dr. Pepper Zero that was really good. And man, it was something. I was like, man, I could drink this all the time.
I've been trying to stay away from the darker sodas just because it's gotten to where they hurt my stomach.
Yeah.
So
Welcome,
I have
welcome,
Sprite and ginger ale.
welcome to approaching 40. Now you
Yeah,
got,
I also noticed a couple of more gray hairs
yeah.
a couple of days ago, and I'm like,
When you're
son of
over,
a bitch.
when you're over 40, if you drink water too fast, you get heartburn. You're like, what the hell?
uh, I'll keep that in mind for whenever we hit like episode
Yeah.
700 of the show. I'm gonna puke on air for drinking water too fast.
It'll happen. Trust me, it's gonna happen to you. All right. Well, I got
Uh,
everything good and ready to go. We ready to do this?
yep, I got the chat open. I got
All
all
right.
my tabs.
Everybody should be in here in
So
a minute.
yeah.
All right, here we go.
So
In three, two, one. Greetings, programs, and we are on the other side of 300 episodes. My name is Jason Robbins.
and my name is Derek Diamond.
So, how does it feel to be past the 300 mark at this point?
I feel like it's the day after you throw this like really huge party where you have all your friends over and you might order some food, have some drinks, and just have a
Mhm.
really good time. And then it's the next day and you're like, okay, now what do I do next? It's
Pretty
kind of
much.
that's kind of how I feel. But no, it was a lot of fun last week having Joey and
Mhm.
Wally on to do our top five list, celebrate 300 episodes, and now we'll the count is on for 400.
Mm-hmm. And in between that, we had Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. I did the whole family thing,
Mm.
like usual. Wasn't really home all that much all weekend. It was actually quite busy with family stuff, and then I had other things going on as well. So ate way too much food. Felt like I was full up until like Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. I
What about
had
you?
I had no choice but to stay home all weekend because I had major car trouble on
Yeah,
Friday and had to put my car in the shop. And now it is Monday, and $1,600 later, my car is finally fixed.
that I've hurt for you.
Yeah. Well, it's not so bad. It wouldn't be so bad if it was just that, but I just dropped $1,000 on it like 3 months ago. If that was it, 2, 3 months ago, I had to have the air conditioner fixed. That was a
Yeah, because
thousand
it
bucks.
because it happened to us around the same
Mm-hmm.
time. Because I had to pay around the same amount. Yeah, it's
So that
it's insane
brings
how much it costs to get your car fixed.
brings the grand total to $2,600 I've spent on that stupid car in the last 3 months. Eh. Welcome to
That's
adulting. I'm done with adulting. I want to go back to the tutorial. Can I go back to the tutorial, please? I think I messed something
uh,
up.
if only we could hit the reset button.
Yeah. So if anybody's feeling the Christmas cheer and wants to help me pay down some of this debt I have, my Cash App is $JBOBFFG. and I would greatly appreciate any donations made in this holiday season if you feel so inclined. So that would help out a lot.
Yeah, people don't realize how just expensive everything has gotten. I'm sure some do, but it's just insane.
Hmm.
It's absolutely insane.
So I was telling Derek right before the show, I was like, man, I might have to go to the bank and do some debt consolidation this week so I can get some of this under control that's been just hemorrhaging money over the last few months is not good, and I don't like it. I hate being an adult. It's awful. It sucks. I don't recommend it.
Yeah, just pass through that.
I'm
Don't
done.
worry about it.
But are you ready to go into the news for this episode
Yeah, let's do it.
301? Let's do it. Ah, wrong one. Sorry, it's been a while since I had to hit that button. So hey, what would it be if I didn't mess something up during the show?
It's all good. It makes 301 memorable.
Yeah, yeah. But this first story, actually, today's stories were submitted to us by Mr. Tyler Watson. I am the Rampage and Armez Jackson. And if you have a story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And of course, to me, the biggest news of the week, I found this on NintendoWire.com. You can now unofficially download any or all issues of Nintendo Power. Let's see, where is it actually started? It said this is all unofficial, the product of video game magazine archival project Retro Mags. The files are all in .cbr format, totaling over 40 gigabytes for the whole motherload from the middle of the NES age to the dawn of the Wii U era. You can also download individual issues if you want through the site, though the site is experiencing heavy traffic at the moment. Uploader Gumball puts this in the description. Every issue of Nintendo Power from number 1 to 285 in CBR format. From what I could tell, there wasn't a collection of every single issue in one place, but a scattered collection of different sets, none of which were complete. So I put this together with the help of some awesome people for all to enjoy. And it says a little comment here. Nintendo is, of course, notorious for litigating even the humblest of fan uploads, so we can only hope they don't smite this one down. Please don't do that, Nintendo. Please.
I mean, they should already have these available
I know, right?
to view online, but of course they don't. But this is really cool, and you know we've talked about Nintendo Power quite a bit throughout the long course of the show. And one of my biggest regrets is I wish I still had my old Nintendo Powers, because
Yep.
I had up until the GameCube, I had every issue,
Yeah,
but I didn't think to keep them.
I had like starting with issue 2 and all the way to like 1993, I think, when I stopped. 92 or 93 when I stopped getting it. So however many issues that was, probably like 40, 50 issues I had, or maybe 30, something like that. I had a bunch, but I lost them all in Katrina, and that just makes me itch. But Joey Image is in the chat room, and he says he still has his original first issue, which I have seen in person. He let me see it last time I was up there to visit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember every month looking forward to getting this in the mail because I love Nintendo Power. I read it religiously. I loved the reviews they would do. They would have like little comic strips, some just as simple as, you know, like a one-page deal. They did adaptations of like Super Mario World, Link to the Past, and a few other um, SNES games. And they would release like a few pages a month, and it would eventually form a whole story. And
Mhm.
it was really cool. But Nintendo Power was such a great magazine. But I mean, we live in an age where physical media isn't as prevalent anymore. I mean, look at Entertainment Weekly and how long that was going, and now they don't do physical
Mhm.
magazines anymore.
But just the fact that Nintendo will constantly try to take this stuff down instead of just putting this out themselves. Like, why are you not doing that? Why does Nintendo continue to just be weird about stuff like this? I don't get it.
If we knew the answer to that question, we'd be getting paid to do this show.
Yeah. Rampage is also in the chat room. What's up, Rampage?
Rampage. Let's see. Our next story comes to us from Kotaku.com. This hurts me.
Mm-hmm.
This really hurts me to read this, but I have to do it. Legendary Sonic designer Yuji Naka arrested in Japan. Over the past 24 hours, a number of people in Japan, including a Square Enix employee, have been arrested on insider trading charges related to a Dragon Quest game announcement. Legendary Sega designer Yuji Naka is reportedly among them. The scandal centers around a studio called Aiming, which in 2020 was announced as the developer of a new Dragon Quest game called Tact. Last night, it was first alleged that 38-year-old Square Enix employee Tatsuki Sasaki, who has worked on Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts games, knew of the deal before it was publicly announced. And along with a friend, purchased a ton of shares in Aiming, hoping to profit with their share price presumably went up. And then Yuji Naka, who is credited as one of the main creators of Sonic the Hedgehog and has also worked on Nights into Dreams and Phantasy Star, has since been arrested on similar charges. For those who don't know a lot about the corporate world, there's a list of stuff that, like is really bad. Insider trading, if it's not at the top, it's pretty close to it. So
I mean, they put Martha Stewart in prison
yes,
for insider trading.
If Martha Stewart can go to jail for it, then anybody on this planet can go. And I can guarantee you that if this is true, then yeah, we won't be hearing from these people for a while.
Yeah, that's tough because what if you're in that situation and you get wind of something that could possibly make a ton of money and you make a ton of money, but it's linked back to you knowing beforehand what's about to happen, you just dug yourself a grave under the jail these days.
And the thing is, we live in a day and age where like people are going to find out if you do something like that. So why do it?
Yeah, the paper trail's way too easy on this type of stuff.
Yeah, this is just dumb. It is really dumb, and it's a shame. I'm still going to play the games, though.
Yeah. From NintendoEverything.com, Warside, Advance Wars-inspired turn-based tactics game planned for Switch. Lava Bird is currently developing Warside, a new turn-based tactics game. It's planned for a fall 2023 release on Switch. Warside takes inspiration from Advance Wars as well as other titles such as Into the Breach and Wargroove. However, the team believes it can evolve the space further. It features a story campaign, features over 30 missions, 12 commanders with unique passive skills and battle powers, and over 20 unit types. The game will have different types of missions, including escort, rescue, infiltration, and more. There are even plans for local and online multiplayer. They had me up until they said escort. Anything with escort missions, I'm out. I don't like escort missions.
Yeah, and I remember when the Advance Wars games came out, I heard good things about them for the most part. So like I was a little intrigued, but like you, I'm not big into the escort missions. So
yeah, take that out. Take that out.
They
got me. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I think I'll pass on this.
Yeah, I mean it looks cool. I'd like to try it, but as soon as I hear escort mission, that's a definite no that's a no from me, dog.
That's a big old bag of nope.
Yep.
From Gagadget.com. That's fun to say. Microsoft offered Sony a 10-year contract to release Call of Duty games on PlayStation, but the Japanese company is ignoring the agreement. Regulators in 16 countries continue to examine the terms and consequences of the deal between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. European antitrust commissions have decided to extend the proceedings until March 2023, while some countries, including Brazil and Saudi Arabia, have already expressed their approval. The stumbling block is Call of Duty, as Sony claims that once the deal is done, Microsoft will make games in the series an Xbox console exclusive, depriving PlayStation users of access to it. A new article in the New York Times claims that in order to expedite approval of the deal, Microsoft has offered Sony a 10-year contract to bring Call of Duty games to the PlayStation. It is alleged that Sony representatives flatly refused to comment on the offer, so the U.S. corporation sees this silence as a sign of manipulation of the opinion of regulators by the Japanese company and misleading regulators. Many analysts have already expressed fears that the deal between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard could fail, and to a greater extent, the reason will be Sony's position on Call of Duty. This is just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
This is an absolute mess.
Well, the way I look at it is Microsoft is I think the only one in out of all the console video game companies where they're willing to put their games on other systems in order to maximize their profits, and they're willing to play nice with other consoles. Like, they were talking to Nintendo for a while. They're extending this olive branch to Sony. But I don't know. I mean, Microsoft just seems like the kind of company that just wants to make as much money as possible. And the way to do that is to make all those games available wherever. I mean, they're not going to do that with Halo, of course, because that's a strictly, Xbox thing. But and not that people will say, yeah, it's a Microsoft IP, but they didn't necessarily invent it, but they bought it, and it became, the Microsoft Xbox flagship title. Same thing with Sony stuff like God of War. You're not going to see stuff like that on the Xbox 360, maybe. I mean, I think you can now. But I think the days of exclusives are coming to an end, except for like Nintendo. They'll never put their stuff on Sony and Microsoft. But I think between Microsoft and Sony and whatever Apple's going to do if they ever jump in the gaming market and all that, I think if you make everything just across the board available everywhere, you're going to maximize the amount of money you're going to make, because consoles aren't going to be a thing much longer.
I still say if Nintendo put Zelda on a PlayStation or an Xbox, it would sell really well.
I would, but they're never going to do that.
Oh, I'm saying that, yeah, I know that, but I wish they would, to be perfectly honest. I know it would be something that neither of us thought we would ever see in our lifetime, but I agree with you. I think, Nintendo aside, the days of exclusives, I think, are just about done.
And Wally's seriously going to disagree with us, and we'll hear about this on Twitter tomorrow. But that's just my opinion. I think consoles are going to be a thing of the past. Maybe we'll get one more cycle of PlayStation 6 and Xbox, whatever the next one's going to be called. Then after that, I think consoles are just going to go away at some point.
Well, speaking of PS6,
yeah, that's why I mentioned that. nice little segue I set up there for you.
This is you.
Oh, okay. Actually, I was looking at the chat room. Joey said he's downloading the Retro Mags pack now. 320 gigs. What?
So check back tomorrow.
Yeah. So we'll see you later, Joey. You're gonna eat up all your bandwidth for the rest of the night.
Just text us in our group chat when it's done.
But this is from comicbook.com. PS6 release date seemingly leaked by official documents. The PS6 release date, or at least its release window, has seemingly been leaked in new official documents thanks to the ongoing drama involving Xbox acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Ever since Xbox announced it was acquiring the makers of Call of Duty and more for $68.7 billion, PlayStation has been speaking with regulators around the world to try and get the deal struck down. The latest development in the saga involves the Competition and Markets Authority in the UK, which is investigating the deal. And at this point, the entire saga is just this is just too much. We'd already talked this to death. But PlayStation confirms its console won't be out before the holiday of 2027. Meanwhile, the other language of the argument, combined with historical data about how long console generations are, suggests that the PS6 will be out in 2028 or possibly 2029. It could be even later, but it apparently won't be out sooner. I think that's a little too far away, honestly.
I'll be 42
See,
when that comes out.
2028 is what, 6 years from now? I'll be 52, 51, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I don't think it'll be that late.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's 2027 seems a little more likely if I had to guess, but I don't know. It's just with these latest consoles, the fact that they're so hard to find is honestly kind of turned me off on getting one. I'm sure eventually I will. I just hope that it's like stores still don't have PS5s
Yeah, I know.
from what I've seen. So why would I think it would be any different with the PS6?
Yeah,
So for that, it's tough to get me excited about that where I know I'm likely not going to be able to find one.
yeah, I was thinking if the next round of consoles would probably be 2026, 2027. But 2028 and 2029 seems just a little bit too far away for me. I don't know. I could
We'll
be
see if
wrong.
if Nintendo waited until 2027, then the Switch would have been out for a decade at that
Yeah.
point.
They're not going to wait that long.
No.
I bet we get an announcement early next year or mid next year for the next Nintendo console.
What year do you think it's going to come out?
I say by late 2024, holiday 2024, it'll be hitting the shelves.
I was going to say 2025.
All right.
So we'll see if either one of us are right. It'll probably be 2026, and then
Yeah.
we'll both be wrong.
Yeah, probably. We're always wrong anyway.
Yeah, we still have fun doing the show anyway. Okay, last story from Polygon.com. This was a pretty fun list. The 30 best couch co-op games for the Switch. There's a lot to love about the Nintendo Switch, not least of which is the abundance of titles with local multiplayer features, making it a great console for game night with friends or a casual play session with a roommate. We've collected some of our favorite titles that allow for good old-fashioned local play. And I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but for 2 players, we have Stardew Valley, which is a really fun game if you're a fan of like the Harvest Moon, if the Harvest Moon franchise. Portal Companion Collection. Good Job, which is you play the CEO of a large corporation, and your wisdom is required to help employees stay on task.
Sounds like
Captain,
work.
right? Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which is something that I still haven't played yet. I just love this for the title, the Untitled Goose Game.
I want to try this game. I've been hearing
I do
so much
too.
about it.
Yeah, same. Luigi's Mansion 3, Cuphead, Unravel 2, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Cat Quest 2, Unsighted, Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. I do like the original Shovel Knight game. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, those are good.
Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which I still need to play. For 2 or more players, Spelunky 2,
I never played the
Rayman Legends
Spelunky
Definitive
games.
Edition, Rocket League, Towerfall Ascension, Minecraft, the Switch Edition, Overcooked, All You Can Eat. I have played Overcooked. It's fun, especially if you get a group of people. It's a lot of fun. Mario Party, Nintendo Switch Sports, Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time.
Never heard of that one.
I haven't either. TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which is really fun.
Yes.
And Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yeah, there's some
which
good,
I love.
Really good games on this list. If you're looking for some good multiplayer stuff, there's definitely you can find a lot of that stuff on the Switch that are really good multiplayer games. And shout out to our community manager over on Discord, Bethany Fox, for gifting me and Derek Splatoon 3 for Christmas.
Yes.
So we're gonna get some Splatoon 3 nights going here pretty soon.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. I love the original Splatoon. So and I've been wanting to play the new one, so I'm really excited. So yeah, thank you, Bethany Fox, for that.
Yeah, I've been playing the hell out of it the last few days. It's really fun.
Those games are addictive.
But that brings us to this month in video game history. Now I'm going to play the right file. November of 1983, Konami releases Time Pilot for arcades in Japan. I remember us talking about this over the last few years. I still don't remember ever playing this game, but I do love the art for this game.
It sounds like the name of like a bad 80s sci-fi movie.
It is. Have you? I think there's an. Wally could correct me, probably correct me, but I think MST3K did a movie called Time Pilot, if I'm not mistaken. And I
I'll look
remember
it up.
watching it on a MST3K DVD.
Let's see.
Almost positive.
Nothing's coming up.
Huh. Let's see.
There's
MST3K.
let's see, Time Pilot movie.
It might be Time Chasers.
Let's see, that's the Time Pilot game. Not seeing anything.
Okay, yeah, I think it was called Time Chasers, is what I'm thinking of. Close enough.
I just don't want Wally to correct us.
We do our real time fact checking on this show.
November 30th of 1996, Konami and Appaloosa Interactive releases Contra Legacy of War for the PlayStation and Sega Saturn in North America, which is the first true 3D entry in the popular Contra series.
We need some more entries into the Contra series from Konami.
Did you ever play Contra Legacy of War?
No, I never did. And I might have to rectify that.
You should. I know you like the Contra games.
I do. See, November 20th of 2000, Rare releases Banjo-Tooie for the Nintendo 64. One of your favorite games, I believe.
Another game that I would love to see a sequel to, but we probably won't. But
No.
these games were just ahead of their time when it came to the platforming genre, and Tui doesn't really get any credit because Kazooie was so popular when it first came out, but Banjo-Tooie is a good game in its own right. And November 19th of 2002, LucasArts releases Star Wars Bounty Hunter for the PlayStation 2 in North America.
I love that game.
I think this game is underrated.
Mm-hmm. Very
And
much.
I think one of us should do a review for it.
I think I actually have it on my PlayStation 4. Pretty sure I do, because I got the Battlefront edition of the PlayStation 4, and it came with a bunch of old Star Wars games. I know it came with Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo. It came with Star Wars Racers. And I'm pretty sure it came with Bounty Hunter, too. I'm going to have to go look and see. If it did, I'm going to play that and review it.
You should. Yeah, I really like Bounty Hunter. I played it for the GameCube, but it's a really fun game.
Yeah, you can pretty much get it. It was on everything back then. So if you want to get a copy, you can pretty much get it for anything.
Yeah.
But that brings us to middle of the show. And Derek, would you like to do our shout outs?
Sure. As always, we'd like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out John West, Daniel Salmon, Tyler Watson, Axblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, aka I am the Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mike Eveland, Jack Eveland, Joey Image, and Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much. Mama Diamond, yes, absolutely. Thank you, as always, for your continued contributions and keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. If you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon community, you get early access to our commentary tracks, which we've done numerous ones throughout the years, including Batman the Animated Series, Clue, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which now that it's the holiday season, I need to watch again. Numerous ones, the Super Mario Brothers movie, the Double Dragon movie, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but one of the most fun commentary tracks I think we've ever done.
Oh yeah, and I did want to let the patrons know that I know we didn't get a commentary track this month, but I am going to release an old Pop Culture Palette episode in its place this month because just with everything going on, the holidays, and then my car going to crap, just everything just kind of fell apart this weekend. So me and Derek sincerely apologize, but we will be back on the commentary tracks next month.
And in the meantime, you get to enjoy a fun look back at Pop Culture Palette.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, be sure to send us your social media information, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight I'm going to be talking about Now, everyone knows that I love a little bit of pinball. I love playing pinball. Every time I see a pinball machine, I have to play it. One of my bucket list things is to actually go to the pinball museum and in Vegas and go check that out. I love pinball, and I always liked the pinball game for the NES, but I always wanted to review it. But it's such a short, simple game. It's like, how do you review something that's it just is what it is. It's pinball. Like, that's all it is. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a multi-review. And I looked up all the pinball games that were released for the NES. And there was only about 5 of them. So downloaded a few ROMs this weekend. And I have some of these. I have a couple of these actual carts for the Nintendo. But I'm going to go through these one by one. And so originally... I first one I ever got was, of course, the black box pinball for the NES, and I think everybody had a copy of this game back in the day because these things are literally a dime a dozen. I mean, these came with free samples of Tide back in the day. You can go to any retro gaming shop right now and buy a copy of Pinball for less than $5, and they'll have like 10 copies on the shelf and probably 50 in the back. So if anybody wants to charge you more than $5 for NES black box pinball, you're getting rooked. Just give them like $3-4 for it. But out of the 5 that I played, so I played the black box pinball, I played Rollerball, Pinball Quest, Rockin' Ball, and Pinbot. And the original black box pinball was probably my second favorite because it's simple. It's the physics are good. It's a little slow, but the physics, are good. They make sense. But my problem with that game is there's not much variety to it. It's kind of silent too. There's not really much music to it, and it does tend to get old pretty quickly. But it is one of those games that I do think you need to have in the collection because it was one of the original black box games for the NES.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Like it's tough to really mess up pinball because the
Mm-hmm.
concept is so simple, and it's not bad. It's pinball.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like if I tried to review Tetris. Like I
Yeah.
like playing Tetris, but what do you really say about it other
Yeah.
than this is what you do with it?
Just is what it is. It's
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah, so I
pinball.
mean that doesn't make it bad. It's pinball.
But for being the black box, straight up just pinball, it's a really good game. I mean, it's fun to play. The physics are good. The graphics are good. It was made by Nintendo. And yeah, it gets a little tedious and boring after a while. But, pinball's not meant to be played for hours and hours and hours. It's good it's a good jump in and play and jump out type of thing.
It's a time killer.
Yeah, exactly. The next one I want to talk about is called Rollerball. This was made by HAL Laboratories. Let me pull up the Wikipedia. It was made by HAL Laboratory in 1984 for the MSX. An NES version was released in 88. It was designed to be played by 1 to 4 players and is an emulation, of course, of a pinball machine. And my notes here, this one felt really slow to me, but it did have music to it, so it had one up on regular old pinball. And the physics are okay, and has more than one board, but I did stop playing it pretty quickly because it just wasn't that fun. Like it's just not that fun of a game. And usually HAL Laboratories makes made pretty good games for the NES, but it's just one of those. It's not really worth buying. Like if you have regular black box pinball, you're never gonna play this one. Like it's just not. It's just not great.
Yeah, and this one just kind of looked, okay to me. Like it's
Yeah.
everybody knows the black box pinball game, and I can appreciate, trying to add a little more to it, but that doesn't automatically make it better.
Yeah, and the graphics on this one just are not great. Like they're just kind
Mm-mm.
of bland. At least with the black box pinball, it's got that black background, but the colors are bright, on it, and just it's aesthetically pleasing. Rollerball just felt really kind of muted and just not really fun to look at.
It looked meh.
Yeah, it's very meh. Now, this is the most interesting one on the list. This is Pinball Quest, and this is from Jalico. This is the one I was the most excited to play because what I said a couple of weeks ago, I have yet to play a bad Jalico game for the NES. All the Jalico games I've played so far are really good. And this one is in 1989. It was published by Jalico, and it is a mashup of pinball and role-playing game mechanics, which I know what you're thinking. You're like, that sounds weird. And yes, it is very weird. And you start off the game, and the gameplay is very strange in this one. The physics are okay. It's a little wonky, a little slow. And you start off like the very first board you go to is sort of like a graveyard, and there's trees, and it's not like you're playing a actual pinball table. It's more like you're playing outside in an environment. Like you have your paddles and you hit the ball, and it's like hitting trees and like smashing into headstones. And then it's weird because the mechanics are weird because like most of the pinball games that they can't fit the whole table on one screen, so it's multiple screens. And when your ball goes from one part of the table to the other, the screen will move, and that's how you move around. And on this one, when you get to another part of the screen, most of the pinball games will just have flippers on that part of the screen too. Like in the middle of the table, there will be flippers. But this one, you actually have to move the flippers up to that screen from the bottom, which I didn't know you could do that for like the first 20 minutes I was playing it. I kept shooting the ball up to the second part of the screen. I'm like, there's no flippers here. What do I do? Like, I had no idea what to do. Then I figured out, oh, if you hit up or down, you can move the flippers to the different screens, which that helped a lot playing the game. And then you get through you kill, the skeletons in the graveyard. And then the next screen you go to, you can actually go, before you go to the next screen there, you go to a shop where you go in there and you buy like more flippers or, bumpers or whatever. And then, or you can steal them, which is cool. And then you move on to the next screen and so on and so on. And that's how it goes. Like it's got those weird little RPG elements to it. It's interesting, but it didn't hold my attention for very long.
I would love for this mashup to be tried again with today's graphics and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. And we've talked about Golf Story and Tennis
Mm-hmm.
Story, like combining RPG elements with those, because the concept of it sounds really interesting to me. So I would love to see like a modern take on this.
Yeah, and that's what I wrote here. Is like this could be done right today. This could be a very good game if done in a modern way with like actual pinball physics and really good graphics and having those RPG elements in it. Because, like I said, playing it on the NES, like it's not fast like pinball can be, and the physics are very frustrating. Like trying to make the ball go to this one little spot on the screen to go to the next screen, and you just can't get it no matter what you do is like just so frustrating.
That's why I think it would work better in today's setting because you can make the pinball portion as
Mm-hmm.
fast as it
Mm-hmm.
should be.
Exactly. And you could actually do that if you could, some games for the, like, if you do it on the Switch, you can actually turn the Switch on its side, and play that way. Like, that would be very interesting to be able to play like a pinball RPG type of game. I'd be really into it. Like, it had interesting elements to it. It's interesting, but it's sort of like Friday the 13th by LJN. Like, there's a good game in there. They just didn't have the hardware to pull it off yet.
Maybe the creators of Golf and Tennis Story will do Pinball Story next.
They'd get money from me. I love pinball.
Yeah.
Add RPG elements, I'm in. But it just wasn't that fun on the NES. It was a bit disappointing. This is the first Jalico game I've played that was just kind of meh. Like, it was a
Mm,
great idea. Like, I was really excited to try it, but it just wasn't executed correctly.
mm.
And up next, let's see, Rockin' Ball. And this one is from who made this? Let's see. Let me read it here. So it was released in Japan as Family Pinball. It was originally released in '89. It was released in both Japan and North America. In the North American version, fictional human characters are used instead of the licensed Namco characters. 4 male characters and 2 female characters are at the player's disposal. There are several gameplay options in the game. Some are regular pinball for up to 4 players, which resembles a game of Pac-Man. 9-ball, where balls are knocked into a bingo pattern. Battle pinball, which operates more like Pong. And sports pinball, where the pinball game becomes more similar to soccer or hockey. It was interesting because there were those different, the 4 different styles of pinball, but it's kind of like it was a little bit like rollerball, where it just wasn't pretty to look at. It was very muted and mediocre. The music wasn't all that great, and I didn't play it for very long because it just didn't do anything for me.
It's one of those things that like it sounds good on paper,
Mm-hmm.
but execution was not there.
Yeah, it's just the physics are really just kind of wonky and kind of like in rollerball, where it's just kind of slow and just, I don't know, it just wasn't. The graphics aren't great, and it just felt like one of those games that they didn't have enough of a game to justify like a full price tag, so they put those other 3 game types in there to make one full game, and even all 4 of those together don't really make one full game to justify like a full game price for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're really into pinball games and you come across these and you can get them for a good price, go ahead and get them. I would say Pinball Quest is probably the more interesting one. Even the cover art's really good for that one. But my favorite of the bunch, and this is the last one, I was wanting to review this for a long time. Penbot. It was made by Rare, one of our favorite companies. It's definitely the most polished and my favorite of all of these. Graphics are beautiful. Might be a little much at times because it is so bright and just like actual pinball. But the physics are comparable to actual pinball. The music is that I played the music at the top of the segment here. Music's really good. It is top tier NES, capabilities as far as physics and the graphics and the music. It's really good. But my problem with the game, and this is a good problem to have, but there was so much going on the screen, and sometimes with like the flashing lights. And if you have epilepsy, do not play this game. Just do not play this game at all, because you will have a seizure with all the lights and just so much going on at the same time.
Yeah, it looked like it really pushed the NES's limits graphic wise. And everybody knows what a rare fan I am, but
Hmm.
I mean that's why I like them because they make good quality games, especially around this time and even going into the 2000s. Like it's one of those publishers that if you saw the name on the box, you knew you were getting quality stuff.
Yeah. And it is just pinball, so it just depends on whether or not you're a huge pinball fan, whether or not you would actually want to buy this and play it. But it is the most solid out of all the pinball 8-bit pinball games that were made for the NES. This was probably the best one you could get. And it was saying here, the NES version of the game successfully scoring a solar bonus during multi-ball causes the playfield to change, effectively resulting in 6 different levels of playfield. And that's one of my biggest complaint about the pinball games on the NES is there's not much variety because of the limitations of the system. But this game, Pinbot actually pulls it off nicely. So this is definitely my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, it looks like, from what I've seen of this set of games you reviewed, this will be the one that I would want to play the most.
Yeah, and I think it would be too. Between this and the regular pinball, really those are the two that represent pinball very well on the NES. And I love some pinball, and I think the only thing that I don't like about the regular pinball, the black box pinball, like I said, is just it's kind of slow, but the physics are good for it. And there's just not much there. It's just like one single play field of pinball. Pinbot actually gives you a lot to do for what it is.
Yeah.
But
And I think
that's
that's why I would enjoy it.
but I if you're gonna pick up any of these, definitely pick up Pinbot. It's worth I think these were pretty much a dime a dozen, like like pinball, the black box pinball. So I see Pinbot all over the place when I go to retro gaming stores and stuff. So I don't think it's that expensive. Maybe between $5 and $10 to pick up a copy. But if you're a Nintendo collector, Pinbot definitely needs to be in the collection. Pinbot and regular black box pinball. Those two should be the two pinball games you have in the collection.
I agree.
But that brings me to the end of the list. They only released like 5 pinball games for the NES out of like 1,100 games released for the NES. Only 5 of them were pinball, and only 2 of them are good.
Yeah, it's not a good ratio.
Yeah, but take what you can get. Pinbot makes it all worthwhile because I think that's the best one of the bunch.
Yeah. You got me wanting to. Do you remember the old like space age pinball game that was on most computers in the 90s?
Oh, of course, yeah,
That this has got me wanting to play
yeah.
that because I played that so much
Oh yeah.
when I was growing up.
So I think I might do this more in the future going forward, where there's something that I really want to review, but they didn't make very many versions of something for like the NES or the Super Nintendo, and you can kind of combine them all under one title and do multiple reviews of multiple games.
Yeah, I like that. That'd shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, because there's a lot of sports games that are like that. Like, what if we did one for the football games that were on the NES? You could have Tecmo Bowl, Tecmo Super Bowl, regular old football. I think they put
Hmm.
out like I think there was black box football or something like that.
We could do that, in like late January, early February before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we could do
That'd
that
be
because
fun.
Tecmo Bowl is still one of the greatest football games ever made.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I have so many good memories of that game.
I'd still rather play that than like the last few Maddens that came out,
Yeah, pretty much.
personally. I
Madden's
feel like there
been to
hasn't
the
been a good Madden game since like 2010.
dude. Madden's put out the same game for like 20 years now. It's just a roster
Pe-
update, and they charge you $70 for it.
People are still buying it.
Well, they could say the same thing about us with Nintendo. So,
Yeah,
oh well.
true.
But that brings us to the end of the episode, and I hope you guys go play some pinball. on the NES. And I think regular black box pinball, if I'm not mistaken, it is on the Nintendo online, for Switch Online.
I believe it is.
Not sure about Pinbot. I don't think it is, but it should be.
But old school like black box pinball, I'm pretty confident that it is.
Yeah. But that brings us to the end of the episode. And Derek, is there anything else you'd like to throw out there before we leave this evening?
I'm not sure what I'm going to review next week. I've narrowed it down to a couple of ideas, so stay tuned next week to find out what I'll be reviewing next. Should have a official announcement for the feature premiere either next week or the week after. So stay tuned for that, and you can follow me at D Diamond Film on social media.
And for the premiere of the feature, we're going to have Mr. Diamond on Open Micers in January. So he'll be back for your fourth visit on the show?
My trifecta.
Yeah.
Be my third one.
Third visit. Man, it's going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely.
But let's see. What do I got going on other than go check out Open Micers, where we just released an episode called Wi-Fi Giraffes. And you're going to have to just listen to find out what the hell I was talking about when I refer to Wi-Fi Giraffes at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram.
That sounds like the name of an amazing tech company.
Yeah. Actually, if I ever start a tech company, I'm going to call it Wi-Fi Giraffes.
I'd be your first customer.
But Christmas is coming up, and you know what that means? That means I'm probably going to review Code Veronica after not next week, but the week after. I think that's going to be my next review.
I like it.
But that's going to do it. And just one more time before we get out of here, thank you everybody for sticking with us for 300 episodes. That was amazing. And love every single one of you guys out there. Thank you for hanging with us.
Absolutely.
But that's going to bring us to the end. And if you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And you can go to nerdcaveretro.com. That takes you straight to our link tree, which takes you to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and of course, our merch shop, which is having a 40% off Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale at ncrmerch.com. Go get a t-shirt, hat, mug, whatever you need, magnet, sticker, we got it all. And of course, patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. With as little as $1 a month, get you all of our extra episodes and our commentary tracks and all that good stuff. If you can't do that, can't leave us any money every month, that's okay. Leave us a review wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yes.
Paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
And that's the end of the episode.
Gotta end it with Captain Lou.
Yeah, I should have turned it up some. I might have to boost that in post. Let me go ahead and raise that up there so I'll be ready next time. Makes me want to go watch that. Thank you.
It's been a while since we've done an episode or two of that for a commentary
We
track.
might have to do that this next month. Do a couple episodes maybe.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
See if there's a Christmas themed one.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Do like 2 Christmas themed episodes of a show.
I like it. I think we'll put that in the books. We'll do that. We'll see if they got a Christmas episode, and if not, we'll just do a couple of regular episodes.
Yeah.
Old Captain Lou. Thank you guys for
R.I.P.
watching tonight. Rampage and Joey Image. Thank you guys for hanging out in the chat room, and we will see you guys next week.